Well, hi, how are you doing? Happy New Year, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas this past year. My name's Daryl, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be all about cycle carts. If you don't know what a cycle cart is, stick around. I'd invite you to do so. I'll explain exactly what I've got here on the table in front of me. And if you're a cycle cart veteran, you've built your own cycle carts, you're out there racing and having a good time, I'd invite you to stick around also. I have some really cool parts that I have built for my own personal car here that I will be offering online later this year for sale to help you build your next cycle cart. So I'd invite you to stick around for that also. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do so. Hit the notification bell when we do our next video and release that on this cycle cart. You'll be able to be notified of that right away. Leave your comments if you'd like. I'll take all the comments, I'll read those, and I'll respond accordingly. So let's get started as I explain to more of the folks that are new into cycle karting, just as I am. I've only known about this for about a month and a half. I came across a YouTube video, maybe just like you're doing today, and it got my interest enough for want me to build my own cycle cart and have a good time doing so. So as we get started, I hope you enjoy it and stick around for the video. Thanks for watching, and let's get going. Okay, what I've got in front of me is really a glorified go-kart. I've got my other glasses here again. I don't have my prescription glasses on today. Those are my readers. These are readers and everything else. But anyway, as we get going here, this is my rendition of a 1930s race car, and I'm replicating the what is Austin 7 is what I'm building for myself here. I like that body style. When I saw that, it was a cool looking race car. I saw a couple of pictures of that, so I wanted to build one that looked like that, and that's what I'm doing. And most of the guys that are doing these, the ladies that are doing these, that's what you do. You find the cart, and you find the cart, the race car from the 1930s, and you pick out your favorite one and you build your cart the way you'd like to build it. You make the changes you want to make, and you enjoy what you're doing. And these things are so small and compact. Right now mine is on a 7-foot table, which is almost exactly 7 foot. By the time I add the nose piece, which is going to be rounded off up here, by the time I add that, my car to be close to 8 feet long, which is about the max you want to do. And back here, the tail piece, that's going to taper down there. This all up here will be a fiberglass hood, but I wanted the steel structure here for my hood scoop or for my side scoops and everything. And I'm going to walk around in a minute and show you all the features that I have on my cart so you can see a little bit more of that up close. But anyway, I started with a 1x3 rectangle tube chassis, 065 wall, and all of the cage work is done out of 3/4 by 3/4 065. It's very inexpensive, and that's another good thing about this hobby. You can build these fairly cheap. Of course, you got people that can put thousands of dollars in these that will. They're building independent front suspensions, but there wasn't a whole lot of independent front suspensions on carts or race cars back in the 30s. A lot of them were straight axle back ends until you get into the Ferraris and all that. Yeah, we know about all that. But anyway, these are more simple and they're easier to build and a lot fun, a lot less expensive to build. So that's the direction I went with mine. Anyway, you've got the 1x3 rectangle tube chassis 065, 3/4 by 3/4. You can use 1 inch, do whatever you want to do. You can buy thicker wall tubing if you like to do that. It's all up to you and your preferences on how you want to build your cart. So what I've got started here, again, I'm going to go around in just a minute with all the parts that I built for mine that I hand cut with a 4.5-inch angle grinder. I've got that. I've got a bandsaw, a deep cut bandsaw that I built a platform that makes that bandsaw work very well for me. I may shoot a video of that, even to show you how that's built. It might help you with that if you want to go that direction on how you cut all your material. I'm a retired hot rod builder by trade. So this allowed me to stretch out my imagination a little bit and keep my welding skills honed. I haven't welded anything together since 2020. So anyway, that helps me stay, up on what I'm doing. And I have just a small MIG welder, again, a 4.5-inch angle grinder, a bandsaw, and some disc, and that's how I'm able to build this whole cart that's in front of me right here. So no specialty tools, no rollers to bend all these rolls. These are all cut, sliced on my little bandsaw about 1 inch apart, and you're able to bend that, tack weld it back together, and get this formed in the shape that you want right here. And that's working out. I wouldn't do that. I was in my hot rod shop. Again, I would form bend these on my roller and make that work out like I wanted to, but I don't have that. So this is the easiest way to do this, and I think a lot of guys do it the same way. So let's get going, and again, I'll show you some of the features. Mine, again, is 7 foot long, going to be 8 foot overall, just about when I get finished. And it should come in around maybe 250 pounds. Keeping the weight down is a critical part of this. Matter of fact, if I could lose some weight, I'd go faster, I'm sure, when this cart's done, but it's easier just to take weight off the cart. I'm not a good weight and not a good diet guy by any means, but I'd like to, and maybe I will be, to fit in this and make it work for me a little bit better. That way I can go a little bit faster when I start racing. So let's get going. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod, but there's a couple of things I want to show you right quick that I have built for myself that were really inexpensive and easy to do as I'm showing you some of these. Up here, again, everything was cut with a 4.5-inch angle grinder. All the holes were drilled on my little bench drill press. All these, I'll show again some up-close pictures of this, but there's some things just it makes it easy to do, and you can save some money doing this if you want to do it that way. If not, you just spend the money and put the parts on it that you want and go to town and go race and have a good time. But I'm going to start off with my quick disconnect on my steering wheel, which makes it a lot easier to get in and out of your cart. These things are pretty small, and that helps you get in and out of your cart quite easy. But what I did here, I've got a pin that I take out. It's got a bearing in it, and I'm sure everyone has seen these. But anyway, this pulls off quite easy with the pin, and the pin keeps this in. Don't have to worry about losing my steering wheel. This part right here is done with a impact socket. This is a 15/16 impact socket that I have cut down, welded to a plate on the back, and then mounted my steering wheel to that. Let me show you this. This is an 11.5-inch steering wheel, all hand done with a 4.5-inch angle grinder. And so that worked out really well, and I think I spent about $7 on the socket itself. And I've got 2 nuts welded here on a 5/8 shaft, and they're clocked in such a manner that allows this steering wheel to be very tight and without any slopping. I couldn't stand that. I wouldn't do this if it was really had a lot of play, and it just wouldn't be any good. But there are a couple of the pinhole here, and there's an indicator right here that I've drilled in here that allows me to line this up every time, so I know I'm in the right place when I put this back on. So for about $9, I built my own steering wheel adapter, my quick release, and saved myself some money. Again, you can buy these from $35 on Amazon. I was a dealer for Sweet Manufacturing. They build one of the best quick disconnects in the market, or in the industry, in the race car industry today. But they're $100 to $150 a piece, and I didn't want to spend that on my Cyclekart. I needed to save some money. So again, as one of the things I wanted you to see, no sloppiness at all. Works very well. Excuse me, I'm outside. I've got a plane going over. As long as he keeps flying, that's a good thing. Don't have to worry about him landing in the yard. We don't want to have to deal with that. But anyway, that allows me to save some money, and it works very well, or I wouldn't put it on my cart. Again, building these parts are very important to me. I'm a certified welder, so when I weld something, I want it to stay together. When I was in the hot rod shop, the chassis that I would build, they had to stay together. They had to work good, and people driving their hot rods all over the United States having a good time didn't want something that's going to fall apart. So the parts that I am going to be offering will all be laser cut and TIG welded before they're shipped out and ready to go to the next Cyclekart guy that's building his cart, or girl that's doing that. So something else here, most of the people that are building these carts use a buggy spring, or it's a leaf spring. Some of them use 2 of them side by side going down the frame rails for the more older looking Cyclekarts. Some of the guys are putting them just like you would a 29, 28, 30, 32 Ford Roadster. They're putting them over the front end with a carrying pad over the front, and with the bosses that hold them in place. But I come up with something a little bit more simple to do and very cost effective for me. Again, thinking about these parts and how I'm building my cart worked for me. It might not work for you, but it worked very well for me. I've got a couple of springs up here on front with this. The tubing that's right here is 1/2 inch. I'm going to show. I hope you can see this is 1/2 inch by 120 wall. It's very strong. And I have drilled that and tapped that out for some Heim ends, and I've slid a spring over that and used that for my spring suspension. the cool thing about it, those springs come in spring rates, just like you would on a hot rod. I've got a set of 105 spring rates, not weight wise, it's the number of the spring itself is a 105 spring size, but that corresponds to how easy this moves down. As you can see, this move, the suspension works great, and I've got about 2 inches of travel, and I mean, it's so easy. Look at that. And the cool thing about it, as you get your cart built, you can change that spring diameter, and you can get all the way up to like a 245 number 245 spring, which is gonna, you know, make it a lot stiffer if you need that. But right now, this thing just works fantastic. When I get in it, it drops down a little bit, but I've got 2 full inches of travel and motion into that spring, and I've got that for about all the spring and everything for about 20 bucks. So that was a benefit for me to do it that way. And again, I had the option to change the spring rate. So the 4-bar kit that I have built for myself would be like you'd see on a early model hot rod. It's a 4-bar. It has bat wings up at the front. The bat wings bolt on and off, and those are all hand cut. But again, later on they'll be laser cut and TIG welded together. So and again, I've used the same rod here that I use for my suspension up front, 1/2 inch by 120 wall, drilled and tapped for the high mends that are 3/8. That gives me a very secure front end. It keeps that from moving back and forth and up front behind that straight axle. There's a pan-hard rod, just like you'd see on an early model hot rod, that keeps the axle from moving left to right. So I've got an I-beam axle, dropped axle, about a 5-inch dropped axle up front. Right now, I do not have the spindles or the spindle mounts welded to this. The inclination on this is, I think, 7 or 9 degrees, which is going to work out perfect when I build my spindles. You know, for the wheels that I'm using, and the wheels that most people are using on these are motorcycle wheels, and that's how it gets the name Cyclekart. It's a cart, but it uses motorcycle wheels, usually off of the CT90 spoke wheels and tires. They're 17-inch, and that's what you'll see on just about all of the Cyclekarts out there that are being built today. So I've got a 5-inch dropped axle, straight axle. The front end is drilled out. You see the holes in there. That looks pretty cool. I think it looks kind of resembles what I had on my 32, which was a Super Bell aluminum axle. It had oval holes drilled in it, but that looked really good, really nice looking axle on the front of that. So I've kind of copied everything that I would build on a regular 32 for a customer when I had my shop going. But anyway, that's a different story. Again, I'm going to pull the camera off of the tripod and show you some of the brake linkage here. The gas pedal works great. The master cylinder works fantastic, and I decided to hang my pedals instead of putting them on the floor. I built the whole assembly and was able just to weld it in, and everything is adjustable. You can move the pedals up, you can move them back. The pedal pads come off, you can move those to the left or the right depending on your preference. The throttle linkage for the gas is working right over here. It works off of its independent linkage. And again, I'm going to go around and I'll show you these parts up close, but right now I'm just showing you how they work. I don't have my camera lady here today to help me. She's not feeling good, so I'm having to show you all of this so I can have both hands free to kind of explain what I've got going on here. Now, a lot of us talk with our hands, and I'm one of those guys, but this thing is going to work very well. The steering linkage right here has stealth stop indicators. That stops right there. It's going to be full throw. Stops right here, so you don't have to worry about where this is good. It's not going to over travel when you're steering. And again, when I get my spindles set up, you'll be able to see all that work. That'll all be on the next video as I get going. Again, let's do a little bit back here on the back, then I'll take the camera off and show you all this. I've taken the stock gas tank off of the Honda. I've mounted it up here. It's all gravity fed. I haven't hooked up my hose yet. That goes down through here. I've taken the governor out of my GX200. I've taken the oil sensor out of that. My understanding that if you keep that in there and keep it hooked up, when you race these and turn a corner, it's going to shut the motor off because of low oil. So I've removed that. I've taken the governor out. I've tapped a couple of holes in here to seal up the hose, and you'll be able to see those on some other videos. And as I get this car finished, I might take all this back apart as I'm putting it back together and show you more detail about that. You know, but there's a lot of videos out there that show you how to do that. So I didn't feel like I had to do that. So, but as we get going, you know, all of my bearing carriers back here, these are all hand cut right now, but again, they'll all be laser cut. And I like these bearing holders here. They're a little heavy, but I like them because they're easy to lubricate. They're very strong when you bolt them in. They're easy to replace. So I thought that was a good idea. And my chassis comes around here. All these are cut 1 inch, so I was able to bend this chassis and bring it around here instead of coming straight back. I thought it would look really nice as I bring this around, and all the body panels, the aluminum body panels that are going to go on here. I thought it'd be really attractive to have this come around here, and this the same way. It looks really close to what what that Austin 7 looks like in the pictures that I have. This piece right here will come down. There'll be a fiberglass hood right here that'll come all the way down to here, and this will lift off and it'll have an opening here so I can get to the gas cap where I don't have to take the hood off to be able to put gas in here. This will be electric start motor. I'll have a starter key and everything up front, and a kill switch like they want you to have in the series. So all that'll be up there later on. So again, gives you more reason to come back and watch the next video. Right here, this is all 22 gauge steel with I think this is probably a 1/4 inch gauge piece of steel wire here that goes around here that allows me to form this, and I've got a nice little side scoop that actually is functional. It's going to draw air in here and help keep the engine compartment cooler, and I think that's a cool feature there. I haven't got to the other side yet, but that worked out really good. All this is going to be metal prepped and body worked, and it's going to look really good, I think, when it's all finished up. So that's pretty much the whole Cyclekart in a nutshell. Again, they're really inexpensive. I think they're inexpensive. Do anywhere, again, between maybe $1,500 to the $3,000. You should be able to build your really nice Cyclekart. The motor back here is set level, even though I've got probably about a 1.5 inch rake on my Cyclekart. The motor's set level, the gas tank is set level, so all that works like it's supposed to. The 4-bar again is out of 1/2 inch 120 wall. The axle is 11 gauge, all I-beam and drilled, and I'll get the camera off in a minute, show you that to see, so you can see the close-up. I'm running, a lot of guys are running go-kart brakes, which no offense to that, some of them are really high-end go-kart brakes. Don't get me wrong. Some of the go-kart brakes that you can buy today in a kit are $300-400. When I had my hot rod shop, I was a weldwood dealer, so I'm going to stick with what I know. That's a weldwood master cylinder. It's probably got a 5/8 bore, and I think I've got a 5-to-1 ratio on my pedal here for the brake, and it'll have a reservoir mounted up high here. And the cool thing about having that up high and your pedals being up high, you're unable to bleed your brake system a lot easier. And back here, it's because I'm a little bit higher up here than I am where my brake mass, my caliper is going to be. And it's a real small caliper, so it's not much bigger than a go-kart caliper, but they're a lot stronger, and you don't have to have such a big brake rotor to be able to stop your cart. They do have these, the ones I'm using, I'll show those later. They have a left and a right, so I'm going to make a mount for a left and a right. Probably only use one of those, but I'm going to make the mount for both of those, and I may even use one side as an emergency brake, which is good to have, but that way you don't have to be in your cart when you're starting your cart. And I think that's one of the rules. If you have to have a pull start, you have to have somebody help you do that, I believe, or you have to have an emergency brake, which I'm going to have both. I'll be able to electric start it and have an emergency brake too. So anyway, that's going to just about cover it on the video. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod, walk around, show you some of the parts up front. I've shown you how they work. I've got a universal joint here for my steering, and able to get the steering. That's another benefit to having this up high. Again, I can stretch my leg out from the seat all the way up to the front on my left leg. That's my little steering, my brake pad to hold this, so it gives me something to push my foot up against and keep me from sliding out of my seat when I'm racing. At least that's my intention, and be able to make this all work for me. So it gives you plenty of leg room, and these are real easy to put in there. Got my wooden seat here. This will be padded with a 1 inch in the back, probably a 2 inch in the bottom, and it's just a lot of fun. So right now, again, I've only got a couple of weeks build time in this, over a 1.5 month period of time, and I'm going to keep going. Again, I'd invite you to stick around. So let me take that camera off like I said I was going to do here for the last 5 minutes or so. I'm going to walk around real slow and let you just see the parts that I have here. Again, the parts that will be available will be the pedal assembly, the steering wheels. I'll have about 3 or 4 different styles. of steering wheels, 11.5-inch, 10 gauge, actually 11 gauge on this. And behind the wood, I'm going to offer the wood kit, probably in an oak, maybe a mahogany, I'm not for sure. But behind the wood kit here, there are holes drilled into the steel, 5/8 inch diameter in between each one of these to lighten up the steering wheel. So that's a good way to cut the weight down. And the steering wheels will be about 80% complete. You'll have all the fasteners. The shape will be there. All you have to do is finish sanding it, stain it, and make it look like you want to, if you're interested in any of these parts. The pedal assembly, again, will be laser cut. It'll be a whole unit. I'll figure that out. I don't know the pricing or what any of this is going to be yet. Again, being retired, it's going to give me some bench time, and hopefully it'll help you guys. If you like the parts, it'll give you something that's easy to purchase, and not a whole lot of people out there building parts for these carts that look like this, that work like this anyway. So anyway, that's what I'm doing this for. The 4-bar kit will be available with the bat wings and the 4 bars and all the high ends. The axle will be available. The little spring up front will be available with tabs to weld onto your chassis. All the master cylinder tabs and everything will be available. The brackets back here in the back here, if you like the way this is done, those will be available. They look kind of cool. I've made them as light as I can. These are 10 gauge to hold everything in. So there's a lot of parts on my Cyclekart. And when I got into this, it wasn't my intention to build these parts, but after looking online, again, there's not a whole lot of people building the parts for these carts. And I thought, I have the ability to do that, why not do it? I've done it in the past with the monkey bikes. I had a couple of 2019 monkey bikes that I purchased for me and my wife, and there was a lot of parts that I thought that monkey bike could use. So I built about 7 parts for the monkey bike for Honda, and they ended up, their accessory parts, they looked really good, and ended up working really good until COVID hit. Then the material was so hard to get, it just wasn't cost effective for me to continue doing that. So we had to stop that. So now it's giving me something else to do and give me a little bench time in there welding and having a good time. So let me get the camera off and let's go around here and I'll show you some of these parts up close. And I hope you stick around, hope you come back again. Leave comments if you'd like. I'm pretty thick skinned, so you can comment on anything you like. I'll read the comments, I'll respond according, and we'll keep this in a professional level, even though we're having fun. And I hope you enjoy your Cyclekart. If you're building one, give me some heads up. And I've been able to meet some good guys already that are here pretty close to me. I'll shout out a couple of names. Mike and Ben, I've been able to talk to Ben on the phone here. I think he's going to be moving to the Texas area. Again, I'm in the Woodlands, about 40 miles outside of Houston, and we're going to try to build a series up here close where we can have a good time racing these. And they've already had a big race in San Marcos, I believe that's where it was at a 1.8 mile racetrack up there. There were 11 cars, from my understanding, and the people that own the track had a wonderful time. They had a great time, and they invited them back this year to race again in October. So I hope to be part of that race. And what we're going to try to do here is have a race set up somewhere in Montgomery County. And so that gives the guys in this area, you know, Texas is so big, it's so hard to get out of Texas. You got to drive 500 miles to do that. So we're going to try to get in touch with all the people that are building their own carts here that are closer to the Texas area, to the Houston area, to where we can race these and have a good time doing that. Everybody dresses up like the 30s. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, please send all your comments my way, and let's get the camera off of there and let's shoot some pictures up close. Thanks for watching, and have a good year this year, and hope everything works out really good for you. So let's get going. Thanks.